Yo, what up? This is Deuce. We back for another episode. And just something real quick. This is why I'm kind of running a little late today from what was scheduled. Just want to continue to thank all of you for your prayers and your support for my cousin. He's doing so much better. Today, his little man was promoted to middle school, so we was there with him this morning while his wife and his family was able to go see that, kind of showed it to him on the phone. So he gave me a high five today. So that was definitely progress. And then, DC traffic is DC traffic coming from Baltimore. So, but here we are. Look, we got Logan in the building. So let's let's get some good insight. What's going on there at Commanders camp? Some of his takes and what he sees about some of our rookies and some of our players. There's been a lot of hype coming from OTAs out there in Ashburn. So we definitely always look forward to Logan being the guy to bring us all of that info. So right after this, we're gonna have Logan Paulson gonna be in the building.
Shout out Red Zone and Lab Podcast.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's Benjamin St. Jude, DB for the Washington Commanders. I want to give a big shout out to Red Zone and the Lab Podcast.
Welcome back, Red Zone and Lab Podcast. I am Deuce, and joining us, Logan. Been working hard, man. Yeah, I saw the flyer. Tomorrow, y'all gonna be in DC, right?
Yeah,
Right?
we're gonna do a live event with the Command Center podcast. So Fred Santana, myself will be out there, do a live podcast, which people have been asking for. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's at 7 p.m. I had it up. It's at 7 p.m. tomorrow. I forgot exactly where it is. I got to pull it up. Definitely gonna talk about it. I might try to get over there.
You should, man. It'd be fun to see you.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, let's get right into it. So you saw the opening of the intro of my podcast, right?
Yeah, man.
What is Cole Turner, like what? I don't know. Can you hear me, Logan?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I logged out and came back in. It froze completely. So I don't know what the deal was.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening. The power just went on and off in the neighborhood, so I don't know. It was
Oh,
me. I
for
don't know
real?
what's going on, but yeah, that was crazy. It just went out. But hey, look, it's Cole Turner. Logan, how's he looking?
Yeah, Cole is an interesting guy because like that tight end room now has become so much more competitive. Obviously, with the drafting of Ben Sinnott and Colston Yankoff, the undrafted free agent out of UCLA. So he's got to kind of find his role. But I do think over the last 2-3 days, he's looked good. He's made some nice plays on the football, and you got to see kind of some of that athleticism that gets you excited about a guy like him, converted wide receiver. I think he's still got a lot of work to do, in terms of making the roster and saying he deserves to be that fourth guy making the team. But it's nice to see him making some plays the past couple of days, kind of slow start. As the media, we're not allowed to be in there for all the practices. But, the stuff we have seen, I think he's looked good at times. And again, the stuff that gets you excited, every offseason is still there. The ability to catch the ball with strong hands, to track the football well. It's just about whether he can separate at a high level, versus smaller, faster DBs. And that's always been kind of the rub with him, right? He's ball productive when you give him a shot on those 50-50 opportunities, but doesn't create the most separation. So how does that progress when the pads come on here, when training camp starts?
Yeah, man, because I posted a picture of him yesterday. Somebody did a shot with him catching a pass, above his head. I was like, oh, I haven't really heard too much about him. Man, I just posted, man, if this guy can take off, we definitely gonna be in a good position. But let's get to Brandon Coleman. Of course, he was kind of controversial when it comes to Commander fans because of when we drafted him, who else was on the board, and us needing a left tackle. A lot of people thought we should have got one early. But how has he progressed? Like, how is he looking at OTAs?
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate the stuff that I said on draft night, man. He's a special athlete. He's like a 90th percentile athlete in terms of his 40, his vertical jump, his arm length's 35 inches. He's got all the stuff you want to play tackle. I will say the one thing that jumps out when you watch practices, he's a very good mover, right? He's got great feet. He's light on his feet. He's a big man, but he moves like a small man, and that's always exciting. Love how he uses his arm lengths, like his arm length when he punches. That's always great too. I mean, he's going through growing pains like everybody else. 2 practices ago when I saw him, had a hard time kind of combating inside positions and inside moves on the rush. But today I thought he did a much better job. And so offensive line specifically is a position that's really hard to evaluate and get a feel for in OTAs and minicamp because there's no pads. So that's a guy, along with the rest of that offensive line, you got to circle and say, hey, man, when they have these joint practices, when they have the preseason, when they're the first couple of days of full pads, like what does that group look like and what does he look like? Because, again, tremendously athletic, but has a lot, very green and very new to football. Played college, played basketball in high school, went to JUCO, then went to TCU. But I think when you watch kind of the Michigan game from 2022, he's a guy that gets you pretty excited. So you've seen flashes of that guy, but obviously you won't have any definitive answers until, they put the pads on and start cracking heads a little bit.
I can't wait. I definitely can't wait to see him, especially with the pads on. So let's stay there. Another controversial pick to some of Commanders fan was pick 100 with Luke McCaffrey. We kind of saw some videos of him yesterday. Oh, the last couple of days after practice, taking some handoffs. How has he looked during OTAs?
I mean, he's looked great in my opinion. I think he's a guy, especially so I've seen 5 practices now. So rookie minicamp, 2 OTA practices, and then I saw the practice today. And he's a guy that I've just been extremely impressed with. I know he's a pick 100, and there were other receivers that maybe people were more excited about or whatever. But he's a guy that is going to be a good pro, and that's like a very high compliment for a guy you're picking in the 3rd round. He's going to be a guy that details the playbook. He's going to finish plays. He had the highest kind of contact to catch ratio in college football last year in terms of difficult catches. That shows up on the field. He's got another gear. He's got he's a bigger guy than you think. So I think, once fans get to see him at training camp and what they get to see him in the preseason, they're going to be impressed because he's like a pro-ready receiver, and he's only been playing receiver for 2 years. So in terms of guys that have stood out over the process, over the OTAs, the rookie minicamp, the minicamps, he's a guy that's like at the front of the line, man. He's going to be a big contributor to this team, and I can't wait to see how they use him and what he does because, to me, I've got a soft spot in my heart for guys who do extra. And, he's getting up at 5:45 every day with Jayden Daniels to review the plays before work even starts. So he's checking all the boxes. He finishes plays. He runs routes hard. He's got a great route nuance. I really can't say enough good things about his process so far. And again, he's got a long way to go. All these young guys do, but he's a guy that has really stuck out over the first couple of practices.
That's great, Logan. Can you hear me okay, Logan?
Yeah.
All right. It seems like we got our power back.
Good.
So Defo, a couple years ago, he's one of the standouts. We was looking for him to have an impact on the defense last year. He was just like the rest of the defense, came out a little slow. And then the injury took him out for the rest of the year. We haven't heard a lot from Kent when it comes to Defo, but just give us some of your insights on what you're saying at Kent from Defo.
Yeah, so that defensive back group's been kind of an interesting evaluation just in general. And I think it's made it hard to evaluate guys like Defoe and Percy Butler because everyone's doing something different. You've got Dominique Hampton out there. You got Tyler Owens out there for some stuff. You've got these kind of big body dime players. You got Mike Sanders still in for some plays. You got Quan at the nickel. You got Jeremy Chin at the nickel, and then Forrest at the safety. You know what I mean? They're just all over the place in terms of what they're doing with those guys, which is very exciting if you're a Commanders fan, because that's one of the things that made that Dallas defense so special is they kind of were playing this positionless basketball. I'm sure that term's been thrown around a little bit. Your listeners have probably heard that term thrown around a little bit, and again, it's just interesting how they're using those pieces. He hasn't really shown out. He's done a good job. He's been in the right position as far as I can tell. But he's a guy that didn't practice today because I think he's kind of nursing a shoulder injury or something. I don't know. That's all speculation. But when he's been out there, he's looked like Defoe. It's just about where does he fit in this really complicated ecosystem of the defensive back room.
Sorry about that. The quarterback room. Of course, we have Jayden Daniels. Of course, we see a lot of him. But as far as like Mariota, Sam Hartman, Jeff Driscoll, how are those guys looking? Like, what type of room? Do you think that's a solid room? Is it looking solid? Do you think there's a 1, 2, 3? You think the Commanders might try to keep all of them? I mean, I know they paid a lot for Hartman, so I'll be surprised if they try to sneak him on the practice squad. How do you think that room is going to shake out from the way it's looking now?
That's a really good question, and I don't really have a great answer. I think the one thing that I can tell you is that Jayden Daniels has looked really good the past couple practices. He's looked poised in the pocket. He's got great footwork. He's got the quick release. Everyone's been talking about that. But I think it's his understanding of the offense and the timing of the offense is the thing that is kind of separating him from the other guys. When Marcus Mariota's out there, he's a little bit energetic. He's got kind of I don't want to say panic feet, but energetic feet. His eyes are kind of darting back and forth. And when Jayden's out there, he's very deliberate with his read and his progression. You can tell he's studied a lot and understand what's happening. So, in terms of 1, 2, 3, I think you're probably looking at today. Probably, if I was going to start today, I'd want Jayden Daniels starting for me, and then I'd probably go Marcus as the backup, and then Jeff Driscoll. But I do think that third spot is up for grabs. I do think Sam Hartman could make a big push for that. You can tell he studies a lot. He's got he's got a really good feel for the offense already, considering he's a young guy. So, but in terms of how the room's ultimately going to shake out, I have no idea. But as of today, I'd probably put it in that 1, 2, 3 order and say, watch out for Sam Hartman to make a push here coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I would be surprised the competition that we see with those guys. We see a couple of the drills and they do competition drills and things like that. Seems like they're all having a good time. I did want to kind of go back a little bit, Logan, because like you've been there, you've been a part of the last few years, being at the training camps, being at the OTAs. Like, to your opinion, what has the vibe look like compared to last year to this year? And I know it's OTAs, right? Ain't no wins, losses with these guys' records, still a honeymoon phase. But is there a difference to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about that. I talked about that today with Craig on our Take Command podcast. Like, it's noticeably different. Obviously, you mentioned the energy drills, but I think the more important thing is just kind of the juice you're getting from the guys generally. Like today, number 84, I forget his name. He made a really excellent catch in the back of the end zone, dragged his feet, got down, and Terry McLaurin like sprinted out and gave the dude a high five, and that just wasn't there, And then the defense kind of talking mess, and everyone's kind of chirping at each other in a competitive and fun way, and then the way the defense is communicating from a X's and O's standpoint is also very high. You can just feel the energy, you can feel the engagement in practice, which is awesome. And like you said, it's still early on. There's no wins, no losses, but it definitely feels different. It definitely feels exciting, even when the kickers are kicking, and the whole team comes around and kind of is like hazing him and having their little the little banter back and forth in there. It's just a different vibe, and it's fun to watch. You can tell the guys are having fun practicing, and ultimately, I think that's what Dan was going for. That was a big motivation for him when I was in Atlanta, is make it fun. If it's fun, guys are more likely to come to work and get better. And I think that's what you're seeing out there on the field, is guys really pushing themselves to get better, which is pretty cool.
Hey, that's great. All right, so of course, like the media can only see so much at practice. It's usually the clips and the drills and different things like that. But Joe Witt, Dan Quinn, Cliff has been telling us it's going to be a Commanders defense. It's going to be a Commanders offense. It's going to be a Commanders special teams. It's not going to be what we're used to as far as scheme, play calling, those different types of things. But is there, let's start on the defense with Joe Witt. Have you seen anything that you can say, hey, look, this is what they're doing. This is what it's looking like. Like, have you seen any of that at OTAs on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do during training camp. I do think you're seeing kind of common threads. You're seeing a lot of the stuff that, at least to my eye, Joe Witt might see it differently. They might be coaching it differently. But at least to my eye, as an offensive player watching practice, you're getting a lot of two shell. You got a lot of Tampa 2. They did a lot of that in Dallas. Get a lot of cover 3 in certain situations. Get a lot of man in certain situations, and you're getting some exotic pressures in certain situations. So all of those things, to me, smell, feel, taste a lot like Dallas's defense was last year, and it only makes sense because that's where Joe Witt was last year. But I do think they're going to kind of mold it and fit it to what they have here in Washington, which is what good coaches do. They kind of take their scheme. There's a reason that Kyle Shanahan, everyone says the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. It looks different under Sean McVay, and it looks different under Mike McDaniels, and it looks different under Matt LaFleur. It's because they emphasize different things, they prioritize different things, and they kind of speak to what types of players they have in their offensive system. So I think you're going to see a similar reflection here. It might look initially like what Dallas is doing, but I do think over time, as the offseason progresses, you're going to see an evolution, because they're going to find a way to use Frankie Louvu. You better believe it. They're going to find a way to put Jeremy Chin in advantageous matchups, covering a tight end or doing whatever. And whatever that looks like for them is going to be really fun to watch. But at this stage, I do think you see a fair amount of similarity, at least to my eye, with what they're doing in Dallas.
Yeah. And Cliff, like, what's Cliff demeanor like? I mean, a lot of us know Cliff, the viral picture during draft night, and it seems like when the players, especially Jayden, talks about him, it seems like he has an open book policy. He always asks the players' input. But how is Cliff on the field, and what is that offense kind of looking like?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cliff, I've been really impressed with how Cliff is on the field. He's energetic, he's engaged, he's coaching, he's dynamic, he's encouraging. He's all the things you want in a coach, at least from my observations, and like I've talked to a couple of people that have played with him, and they all have nothing but great things to say about him. And so I think, one of the things about him being a head coach, it's always tough, is that he had to kind of, balance being a head coach and an offensive play caller. And here he's getting to do what he loves, and that's called offensive football. And I today was a really good day if you're a fan of offense, because I felt like the defense was kind of keeping it pretty straightforward. It seemed like there were man periods for the defense, there were zone periods for the defense, and the offense was able to kind of key in and hey, these are our man beaters. Let's run these man beaters versus this man concept. And Cliff, I thought, was like really in his bag. Did a great job. I thought he did a great job of kind of saying, hey, this is how we're going to get to 4 verts as an example, but we're going to use, a tight end and a running back in a tight formation and work B-Rob up the seam. It was great. And so I think when you see those different layerings of concepts and kind of the illusion of complexity he's presenting, it's been really a lot of fun to watch. And I also think that the offense has just been incredibly clean the past couple of days, which is a testament to him and that offensive staff, right? It's still pretty early in the offseason. There's no training camp practices, nothing yet. And for them to be motioning and shifting and lining up and have the hand signals the way they do and the hurry up down, I've been impressed by that, and it's something that I'm excited to see continue grow. And again, he's got to call plays in a regular game, and Jayden's got to execute in a regular season game. But I think if you're a fan of the team, like, they're checking the correct boxes up to this point, and it makes me cautiously optimistic moving into training camp.
Just two more questions before you go. Some from the comments. Smokes is asking about Jayden Daniels, our tackle last year that didn't get to see any action last year. You have anything on him?
Yeah, so Jayden Daniels is interesting because he's, we're number 77 now. He lined up at left tackle today, and he's a guy that's moved around a little bit, played a little bit of guard earlier on in the process, and they've got him at left tackle now, working with the threes. So he's a guy that I think will be interesting to kind of see what the new regime thinks of him. In terms of my evaluation of him initially, I thought he might make a good center or guard, and he's obviously a tremendous athlete. He's very strong, very physical, and growing as a player. But it'll be interesting to see what the staff thinks about him moving forward, given the fact they drafted Brandon Coleman, given all the interior offensive linemen they brought in over the offseason. So he might be a guy that maybe he's a practice squad guy this year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, can't wait. And the last question is, the chat is talking about Forbes. How has he looked?
I've actually been pretty impressed with Forbes. I know there's been a lot made of him, and is he the starter? Is he the second guy? I think he's been playing physical. In terms of how physical you can be during this period. He's getting hands on people, which is impressive. His footwork's impressive. His ability to anticipate routes is the same that you saw in college, and I really think him and St. Juice have both looked very good, under the new defensive coaching staff. Like, their ability to, and I think Joe Witt deserves a lot of credit for that early stage, right? Kind of simplifying pictures, making their responsibilities more clear, putting them in better positions to be successful is something that I think is going to benefit the whole secondary. So I don't know. I think he's looked good, and again, it's so early. I have to preface everything I say. It's so early in the offseason, right?
Right.
He's
right.
He's still. They haven't tackled anybody. They haven't done anything with pads on. But in terms of doing what they've asked him to do and moving around well and matching concepts well, I think he's done a good job of
that. The secondary and it's the whole, like, entirely of the secondary. Especially at the cornerback positions. On paper, it doesn't look too good. They brought in Davis. He has the most experience. He gave up a lot of yards last year. He had a lot of targets last year. Of course, he had like an all-pro on the other side of him, so that's kind of for that. And then you have Ford. So when you look at this secondary, what's your overall view of it?
I mean, it's funny. Like, everyone's kind of been asking me the similar question. Like, are you down on the secondary? What do you think they're going to be? Are they going to be bad? And I actually think I'm really, really excited to see Forbes when he does play, St. Juice, Davis, all of these secondary players, because I do think when you look at Joe Witt's resume, you're not going to find a better resume of a coach who's able to maximize defensive back play. Like, you're just not going to do it. And I just think those guys they're good football players. As bad as they look last year, like, they are better football players than they showed last year. And so I think the whole group, excuse me, is going to be elevated, honestly, by this coaching staff. I think they're going to find ways to rush the passer better. I think they're going to find ways to create simulated pressures, stunts, put guys in better situations as opposed to always trying to win one-on-ones. That's going to help the back end. And I think understanding conceptually what the defense is trying to do from the back end will help those guys a lot. So I'm encouraged. I'm excited. I think if there's one group that's going to develop the most under Joe Witt and Dan Quinn, it's the secondary, and I really can't wait to see what that group looks like. With being better coached this year.
And that's a lot of us say. How coaching is so important. How much coaching matters, and if these guys can't perform with this staff, right, then it has to be. It must be the players. Another player on offense, Logan, last year, who didn't get a lot of opportunities. When he did, he kind of performed. Then he kind of fumbled a couple times. Is Christian Rodriguez. They go out. They bring in Eckler. What do you think his role is? Is his role in jeopardy? Like, is he someone that's going to be there on be suited up on game day, or Like what is that looking like to you when it comes to Christian Rodriguez? Because we really haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, personally, I think Christian Rodriguez is a heck of a football player. The problem with Christian Rodriguez is he doesn't really flash until you put the pads on, right?
Yeah.
He's like 240 pounds. He's 6'1". Like, he's a big, bruising, downhill back with great vision. I think he catches the football better than people think. He's not B-Rob by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a guy that I think when you get in the preseason, when you get in the joint practices, and he's got to pick up blitzes and run hard, like that's where he's going to shine. And I think, from what I understand, he's working very hard in the offseason. He's a great kid. I wish all the best for him, but this is part of the issue when you're coming in with a new staff is you don't know. I can't speak to his situation because I don't know, right? They brought in Austin Eckler. Maybe they view the running back position differently than the previous staff did. I can almost certainly attest to the fact that they do. But, how does Christian Rodriguez fit into that? I think he's a good player. Let me just be clear about that. Good player, but that's not always enough to keep you on a team. It's also about fit and your role on a team. And so what is his role going to be? And, can he play teams? Obviously, he showed that last year, but does a special teams coach like him? There's a lot of variables here when it comes to Christian Rodriguez because I think we know how special B-Rob is. We know what Austin Eckler can do. He's a pro's pro. He kind of fits this Cliff Kingsbury offense at a high level. But I also think I have to point out that I think Chris Rodriguez running in some of these kind of spread out boxes where you're asking smaller defenders to make tackles, I think can be pretty devastating. So he's a guy I'm pulling for, but a long-winded answer to your question. I don't really know because I don't really understand yet what the staff is looking for from the running back position, but I think he's a heck of a ball player.
And last question, the new kickoff rule.
So excited for that.
Yeah, what's your take? Is Cliff going to be is offensive coordinator going to be more involved in the kickoff return now? Like, what's your overall view of it?
I think what I would say is that I think the whole staff is going to be brainstorming the best way to get this done, right? Because when you watch, kickoff return drills in practice, it leverages that frontline group in a high way. Basically, what I mean by that is those blocks are tough. You got to really, really do a good job of getting your spot, fitting guys up, and understanding where the ball is and where the coverage team is trying to go. So, I think they're going to leave no stone unturned in terms of trying to figure out the best way to block these coverage units and find the best personnel to get that done. So, if I'm Izzo, I'm definitely going to ask Cliff, like, what do you think? I'm going to ask Dan, what do you think? Because I want to get all these really smart football minds together and basically, like, how do we best figure this out?
I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fun for sure. Logan, thank you so much for joining us again. We definitely appreciate your time. We know it's valuable for you to spend it with us. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks for having me on, Deuce. Always good seeing you, buddy.
Yep. All right. See you soon. All right. Peace.
All right, Deuce. Thanks, bud.
All right.
Later, man.
Peace. Yeah, some good insight. Coming from Logan. And again, I do apologize for jumping in a little late today. And I don't know, man, like we've been having people doing some stuff outside the house. So the power just went out like out of nowhere, kind of flickered on and off, and then it came back and then I had to come back on here. So I definitely apologize for that. And those of you that wasn't there, I was kind of late because I was coming from seeing my cousin. He's doing so much better. I definitely appreciate all your support, all your prayers for him. And then, coming back from Baltimore, that traffic, and then DC traffic, and it's a whole nother thing, man. But how y'all feeling today, man? How you feeling? OTAs, mandatory OTAs wrapped up. You know what I'm saying? How y'all feeling, man? ERE, I see you's in the building. Easy lights out. Was good. Garage, appreciate you. Miss Janet. What's up, Key? Radar in the building. Simple in the building. Everybody like, yeah, I thought it was me. And it was me for sure. What's up, Dez? Yeah, man, talked about Jayden Daniels. I mean, he's getting some play at left tackle. He was at left tackle today, and he said it was third string left tackle. They had him at guard some early in the process, so that's definitely something to look out. Chuck, what's up, Chuck? Forbes, and Logan is he's talking about Forbes in the manner of the coaching, right? Like this kid was good in college, right? He was good in college. He projected to be good. Some people say that we reached on him, especially when you had Gonzalez still on the board. But Logan believes that the coaching is going to bring out the best in him, and along with other players, he's not too concerned about the secondary. He has high hopes with the coaches. I mean, I do too. I mean, we have some great coaches, not good coaches, but we have some great coaches, man. We really do. We have some great coaches, and the thing about coaches is, like, elite coaches and great coaches make players better, right? It can make a okay player good, a good player great, and a great player elite, and an elite player generational, right? That's what you want. You want to be able to push the player to his limits, right? Push them to be the best that they can be. And that's what great coaching can do. It can do that, right? So we have to ask ourselves, where were the players? Like, who are these players? Is Forbes okay? Is he good? We don't really know. All we know is what we saw last year. And last year, you could probably say he was all right. I definitely think, like, the AJ Brown stuff really balloons his production. I mean, balloons the what's the word I'm looking for? Like, other people's opinions of him. Right? I think it balloons that, how people look at him, how people think about him, but people forget that AJ Brown was on a crazy run leading up to them games. And AJ Brown is an elite wide receiver. He does that to a lot of people. But for me, when I look at Forbes, it wasn't so much like his size, right? It was more so his technique was off. His technique was horrible. His hips was bad. His eyes was bad. And all those things you can coach. You can coach up those things. So we were just going to have to find out if they're able to coach him up to see what type of player he's going to be. Oh, my bad, Garage. Forgot to ask him on undrafted free agent. I'll get it next time. Mitch was good. Yep. We talked about Forbes. We talked about the corners. He's not too concerned or like a lot of it. No, Sam, I'm not. I saw that. I ain't asking about Andrew Wiley. That's right, URE. What's Smoke at, man? It is, man. It's gonna be 6 weeks. Is crazy. 6 weeks is a long time, man. No football for 6 weeks. Here we are. Here we go again. But yeah, man, it's definitely something to consider when you're talking about the team from last year compared to this year. But let's do this. The Commanders log will be back tonight, 7 p.m. So definitely check that out. I'm not going to watch it. 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 I'm going to do the reaction. I'm going to do a reaction video tomorrow after the Anthony Armstrong interview, and I'm going to react to it. I'm watching for the first time. So I know y'all going to be on the timeline sharing it and talking about it, which is cool, but I'm going to try to ignore it as much as possible. All right. And then I'm going to react to it tomorrow. Keep these new millionaires away from the God. We was off for 2 months, 6 weeks. Like, it is, man. But when you pumped up, you get all this good stuff, and then being without football. I mean, our season been over. You know what I'm saying? Like, our season been over, but we was able to watch other things, and then, like, you got to think about it. you got like free agency, you got the trade, you got the draft, all that. Like you got a lot of stuff to talk about. 6 weeks is just 6 weeks of nothing. I think they got a owners meeting towards the end of the month, but that's it. Like we will have to definitely find some stuff to talk about. But of course we're gonna find something to talk about. I'm definitely gonna find something to talk about for y'all, man. We're gonna be here at least 3 days, three days a week, just talking about something. We'll definitely want to look at all the rookies. We want to look at some tapes of some of the players from last year that we brought aboard. Yep, we want to have off-season recap for sure. We want to look at the depth chart to see how the depth chart going to play out. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. There's a lot of things that we can definitely talk about. But let's do Ron. Don't be mad at me. Oh my gosh, no, I didn't say that. Y'all ain't hear me, did y'all? Did y'all hear me? Y'all ain't hear me. Good. Gosh, can't believe I said that. Yeah, WNBA. Yep. Watch WNBA, man. Some good basketball. Chuck and Unc, that's on the chat now. I know a lot about it, man. I've been watching it recently. Some good stuff, man. I ain't trying to get into that conversation. Y'all know what that I'm talking about. All right, man. Let's talk. Yep, see WNBA. Keep laughing at me. Loud and clear. Wizards draft. Oh my goodness. The Wizards draft. I don't know about all that. All right, let's do this, y'all. Hang out with me. Definitely, if you see the post, retweet, share, hit that like button for me. Share it in your Facebook groups. Facebook is something else, bro. Like what I do on Facebook, I go in, I drop a link, and I roll out. I might even go in, post something, I roll out. Like I don't even check the comments. Like I don't even check the replies, bro. I don't even check the replies, man. I don't even check the replies. Facebook is dangerous. Janice say CC versus Angel Reese again on Sunday. Caitlin Clark. Yep, Backboard Hoops coming soon. New podcast. Smoke, Unc, Kadar. Can't wait for that. It's talking about all DC basketball. Can't wait. Facebook is the devil. All right, let's see what Dan was talking about today. I don't know if you all listened to him. This is my first time.
Norton visited with the team this morning.
Can y'all hear?
And as you guys know, Ken was a part of 3 Super Bowl teams back to back. But what he talked about today wasn't about the Super Bowl teams. It was about the lead up to that and what these 40 days are like in between, from the, what you would call the end of the mini camp into what the start of that next is. And he talked about that love, that connection, the work. He talked about being some hungry wolves, and knowing that that's where you make the difference, that you will not let one another down. I thought it was such a powerful message by Ken. You can always count on him for that, but it was just his life experience. He saw some similarities of him coming up with this group bonding together, and we had him share that with the team today. So it was excellent. A lot of people would say this is as the end of the off-season program. In a lot of ways, I see it as just our beginning and what we can be about and what we have. I think over the last 2 weeks, I felt this momentum shift. A lot of install had been in, through the first part of the off-season program. And now that those installs are going down, you're seeing the skill and the execution going up. And it's been really exciting to see. So I'm thrilled with the guys. They've really put in the work. We started way back, I think it was April 2nd with the veterans. And then we added the rookies into that group. And they really wanted to find out, the veterans did, are they for real? And how can they help us? And they absolutely answered that challenge in a very big way. So it's a fun group to coach. And so we have family barbecue today, but be glad to open up to you guys some questions. But I wanted to share that about Ken today. I thought it was such a powerful statement about team and connection, and whether it's years ago or today, there's some things about football that's nice to know stays the same. So glad to open up to you guys.
Now that's very interesting about Ken Norton, because I be a lot of times I forget we have him. I believe he's going to be such a big component to the success of this team. He's always had success. Like, he's respected across the league. He's just Ken Norton, for God's sakes. You know what I'm saying? So Ken Norton Jr. So just having him there, being able to work with Wagner again, being able to work with Louvu, being able to work with Jamin, being able to work with McGee. I'm expecting for those guys to produce. I'm expecting for those guys to be good. And like, that's the thing about coaching, and that's the thing about expectations, because I know last year our thing in the Twitter Spaces land was, temper your expectations, right? But just keep your expectations today. Keep them current, in a sense where I am expecting for this group to be better. Not only just because I'm a fan, but because of everything around it, right? You have Bobby Wagner, second best linebacker in the league last year, all pro, right? So you have him, you have Louvu coming off a great year. Like, you see you see his production, you see his play, you see his instinct. The tape tells you that there's more to him, right? And then you have Jamin, where we really don't know, right? We saw 1, 2, 3 flashes. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have high hopes because we think of Jamin, then you think of, because of his speed, his length, and like, he could automatically be Michael Parsons, whatever, 2.0, or that. Like, we don't really know, because he really hasn't given me anything to say, you know what, this guy's going to be a stud. Because most of the time, studs and dogs are still studs and dogs, even if their owner or their coach is not coaching them up. Like, you should still be able to see it, right? I should still be able to see an aggressive dog, right? It might not be doing everything correctly, but it's doing everything aggressively, right? And I haven't seen that from him. Like, I haven't seen him do dog stuff. I haven't seen him do stud things. Even though the coaching was bad, the play calling was bad, and all that, you still go out there, you still one-on-one with your player, right? Even if they call a horrible play, you still have an assignment, and I should see you take advantage of those assignments sometimes, even though if it was the right call. I know you one-on-one with this person, and I expect you to dominate, even if it's like, we used to, in basketball, we used to call people like, man, he's so OC, but he's so aggressive, so out of control. But you can tell that he was kind of like a good player, but he just needs coaching. He needs someone to mold him, to slow him up, let him know when to go fast, when to go slow, and doing those different types of things. I haven't seen it with Jamin. And then we talk about McGee. He's a rookie coming into the NFL. That's always a change, but I definitely expect this group to be better.
Dan, obviously, health is such a big deal with these things. How do you kind of feel you guys are physically coming out of this?
Yeah, that's number one, top of the pile, to make sure you come out of this, as healthy and going into training camp to that space. Good news is a number of the guys, that were held out this spring are making good progress. Guys like Johnny Newton and FA and others, to make sure they're hitting each mark along the way. So we're hopeful, as we get closer to camp, we'll have a better feel for, who's able to really get started right off the bat. But I'm really thrilled with the health of the team today.
And
yeah, I didn't know FA was, or did I know? Maybe I did. Maybe I did. So, and then Defoe, we heard Logan kind of talk about he may have like a little shoulder thing right now, which we haven't heard. What wasn't really reported, I didn't hear. But anybody got any little, if it's a small nick, go ahead, hold them out. It's OTAs. We want you to be fully ready to go when training camp comes.
With the notion of the installs in and the execution going up, like just for Jayden, How have you kind of seen him progress this week in light of?
Yeah, he's if you've been around the building or asked anybody in the building, one of the things that I love about him, he's got this demeanor about the execution, about the confidence. He's got a swagger to him. He really has a very firm handle on the things that we're doing, but he also has the humility of a young player. And so I thought, what a cool combination to have this presence as an older player, but yet the humility of the new and younger player, knowing that he has a lot to prove. And I thought, well, what a rare and really cool combination that is. And we talked earlier about the quarterback room, what that's like for, Marcus in there and those guys. They've had some similar journeys, and being able to share that, I think, has been really powerful. I know they both enjoy each other's company a lot and spend a lot of time together. So I thought, what a good person for Jayden to be around in Marcus. Marcus has the competitive fire and the humility as well. So there's a kindred spirit, although the age is a little different. There's a lot of similarities with the two of them.
Duran, I think only Drake May. I'm looking for I want to show y'all this cut my daughter got me. I don't even know where I put it at. Drake May and Bo Nix, I think, are the only first round quarterbacks that signed their contract. Somebody can check me on that, but I think it's just them two.
With Jayden, where do you see sometimes where he maybe is a little bit ahead, and other times where it's like, okay, he's still a rookie?
I think it's the execution. And the reason I say that is there's not usually I need that call again. I need it again. Or you're asking, in the headset to go. So in the huddle, the clear communication, I listen to every call that he makes. And so the IDing of the protection. So I would say he's further along, than you probably should be. But that's probably
Bruh, it's really difficult not to put all your eggs in this Jayden Daniels basket, man. The way people talk about him, the clips that we see of him, the snapping his throws, when they do videos and they got clips of him throwing the fade route, throwing the deep ball, throwing the crosser, throwing the quick hitch, the handoffs, the competition, everything that they say about this kid is always good. We react to his interview yesterday. If you didn't check it out, go check it out. The way he answers questions, they try to call him a superstar, right? I mean, Heisman Trophy winner, number 2 pick of the draft. All the aura in the world, from California, highly recruited, all these different types of things. He's on superstar level, right? This is the time. This is the time right here for him to do superstar things, to do Hollywood things, because this is where he's smoking right now. He told him, nah, I'm not a superstar. I'm a rookie. I'm nobody. Humility. He's humble and he's confident, right? But there's a fine line. He cannot allow his humility to overcrowd his confidence, and he can't let his confidence overcrowd his humility, right? You don't want him to be so humble that he doesn't want to go out there and win it for you. We don't want him to always be told, we need this from you, Jayden. We need one, Jayden. We want him to go out there and know when it's time to go get it. And then not too confident where he's cocky and he can't listen to anything. And he think he can do it all by himself. There's a thin line, but this kid seems like he understands that line very well. Shout out to Jared Taylor. We definitely appreciate you, man. Yeah, man, join us, comment with us, chat it up with us. We had Logan on. I don't know if you saw the beginning, but we definitely appreciate you. Welcome. Continue to join us for sure and comment. Get in on the conversation. Defoe is playing strong safety. I don't know yet, Simp. He just kind of talked about them being interchangeable, and Witt mentioned them, having different personnel groupings. What Witt tell us last week, man. Look, we got 17, 18 starters. We got personnel groupings. Don't ask me. So don't ask me, Simp. Don't ask me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, defo will be strong. We'll see, man. We'll see. My man say he going 1,000 of Commanders win the Super Bowl by 2028. I can feel it in my voice. All right, I ain't mad at it. Man. I ain't mad in it. All right, let's talk a little bit more. Let's see.
Attribute to him as well to say like he was not going to leave, a stone unturned in terms of the execution of it. And that's what we talked about over his next 40 days of the smallest of details again and again and again.
And it's like where do you see the rookiness, I guess?
Rookiness.
I see the rookiness and all the things that you have to go through for the first time for him. And
you talk about me making up words, huh?
From draft to first rookie camp to OTAs and then 11 on 11. So I can remember when we first did 11 on 11, he came up to me and said, DQ, it's back to real football, because the first 5 or 6 practices, if you guys remember watching, was all 7 on 7. So maybe the excitement is where I see the rookiness, the urgency, the energy that goes along with that, like how damn excited he is to get going. So I remember like coming after that practice, he was so excited because everybody was there, linemen, the whole thing. And so I'd say maybe that's the rookiness in the very best of ways of just energy for it. Like it's been cool to see the energy of these guys. They found they can work really, really hard and have a really good time together doing it. And that's what I'd hope to see accomplished. And we're certainly seeing that.
Dan, how far back does your relationship with Ken go to, and why was it important to bring somebody in even for offseason and top season?
Yeah, I love Ken Norton. I really do. And our relationship goes back to 2010. And so we got connected at the Seattle Seahawks. So 2009. And I'd been a defensive line coach. He was the linebacker coach. I left after that season and come back to Seattle 2 years later, and to have him, right alongside of me as the defensive coordinator, it was really impactful for me. He has such a unique approach. And like, if you were a linebacker coming up, this is the type of man that you'd want to be around on a regular basis because he connects the football, the person, the soul, everything that goes into it. And in a very cool way, his way of paying it forward to the next group of guys. So pretty cool for a guy like Jordan McGee to feel this energy of what it could be.
Jordan McGee,
and, he's soaking up every bit of it.
That's who he decided to say.
Jayden told us that
I'm just saying.
Jayden told us that he gets in the building at about 5:45. Nick made the joke that he gets here earlier than him. He doesn't know how. But he also said that Luke McCaffrey is the other person that's here at 5:45. Just in your years of football experience, what does that signal both to you as a coach, to your staff, and then to other players, like when they're seeing this and they know that that's what's happening for their youngest players?
Yeah, you just see it. And it may come in different ways. I can remember years ago in Seattle, leaving on a Friday afternoon after preparation was done. Might have been like a 5:30, and the team might have been done at, let's call it 1 o'clock. And I heard some music coming from a meeting room, and in there watching was Earl Thomas. He was by himself, but he wanted to go through it again and again and again. And so I remember moments like that for players who will find their own routine and their own process. Sometimes the early morning time is the best. There's no distractions. There's nothing else that other than just that time to go. So I think it's really important for every player to find that process, to say what works for me. So we were talking about like Jordan McGee earlier. We're not saying you have to use Bobby Wagner's, process, but you have to recognize what his is.
Just remember, man, like it's very encouraging when your rookies are involved or a part of like the extra hour crew, right? To know that Jayden and Luke is getting into work at 5:45 a.m. They talk about Nick Allegretti getting there earlier than that and getting there, getting in the bubble, throwing passes, working out, watching film. You see Terry stand late after practice. You see Terry on the jugs machine. You see Terry on the receiver machine. Like you see him working on things to help him to put into his mindset, because he talked about wanting to get more yak yards. He's doing those yak yard drills after practice. This is what you want to see from your team. This is how the culture is built. Like, this is how the culture is not built in a sense on individuals, right? It's built on the actual organization, the actual team, right? So once you begin to start doing certain things, other people start seeing it. It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a part of what your franchise is, right? Because hopefully this leads to success, consistent, sustainable success. So 10, 15 years down the line, you'll still have rookies. You'll still have players staying late, coming in early, because that's who the Commanders are. That's what this organization is about. This organization is about players wanting to be better, wanting to use their own time, to get better. So when they come into team time, it makes the team better. However, when I'm bettering myself away from everything else, when I come back into it, it makes it better. Even outside of sports. If I'm stepping away, I'm making myself a better person, a better man. It's going to help me to be a better married husband. It's going to help me to be a better father. It's going to help me to be a better son. Like, you have to sacrifice time to make yourself better. And you have to sacrifice that. So when these players begin to sacrifice their own time to be better, it's ultimately making the team better, which is ultimately establishing culture, a Commander's culture.
And make that true for you. And I think Zach Ertz and Bobby have embodied that for a lot of the players here to say, okay, I see what that consistency looks like off days, on days, early mornings, late nights. So that's what it says to me. He's finding that routine that works for him. And fortunately, he took that step at LSU as well, to come in early, find extra time, and knowing that has worked for him, it's happening again.
Over the course of your career, you've worked with Russell Wilson and obviously the Matt Ryans of the world. So you've had a chance to see their process as well, too. How does it precipitate on the field? Like, what levels of trust, like how much the players are willing to go the extra yard for those players? Just where do you see all that stuff?
Yeah, I was super unfortunate from the last, 10 or 15 years, from Russell to Matt to Dak. And I would say the best of the best are not only worried about their own performance, but coaching others, what they saw, how it is, the smallest of details. And I certainly saw Matt do that, with the receivers, with the tight end. He had his own language that he did. It was probably a little more colorful than Russell's or Dak's. Well, maybe not Dak's, but certainly more than Russ's. But my point is, colorful. They were both authentic to like helping others. And sometimes as the quarterback, you got to be able to help a formation, get to a protection. And it's such a unique spot. And Jayden has that coolness about him that people want to be next to him because he's going to deliver the right information to the people. You're welcome.
How important is that for people to want to be around you, for people to want to support you, for people to want you to do well?
Taking over in your mind,
like how important is
starter,
that?
And do you expect as we get
that's very important.
We'll get most of the work with the ones.
Well, in true competition, that's why we set it up as we did, to have Marcus have some and Jayden to have some. So no great declarations other than like being true to who we are. As competitors, there's no doubt that Jayden's making unbelievable progress here, and we'll have a really fun camp. But he's earned that opportunity to go compete. We wouldn't have given him those spaces and those times and those reps if he hadn't. But it was really clear that he's put in the work and he was ready.
So Jayden is getting the first team reps. We kind of talked about this earlier. Their whole and Dan mentioned it. He said because this is who we are, right? Mariota got some reps with him. Jayden got some reps with him, but Jayden is so far ahead in his own specific progression. Right, he's doing everything right. He's growing. He surpassed what they thought he would be, where they wanted him to be. He surpassed that. He's doing everything. He's doing more than what they have asked. But like he said, who we are. Dan said this from the beginning about everyone being involved. Not a lot of standing around. Not one versus ones, not one versus twos, not 2 versus 1s, but everyone being interchangeable, right? So the 90th guy is taking reps with the first guy. The undrafted cornerback is lining up against Terry McLaurin. Because, see, they need to make sure that they're not missing out on gems. How often is a late round draftee a gem? How often is an undrafted guy come out of nowhere and be a gem? How often is a journeyman that's been on 2-3 teams end up being a gem? We don't want to miss out on no gems. So the only way to find out if this is a gem, we don't want it to happen because of injury. We want it to happen because of due diligence. Because when it's time to get down to 53, I need to make sure that the 90th guy is not better than the 50th guy. Not because of popularity, not because of years, not because of, whatever relationship, because of production. He said it. He said he's taking these reps because he's earned it, not because it was just given to him, because he wouldn't be there if he didn't earn it. And I believe him.
To do that. So it was by intention for sure that he was able to do that.
And Coach, part of that competition, we're seeing you guys roll out a lot of different combinations of linemen.
Yep.
How deep into the calendar are you comfortable right now until you make that decision on who your starting 5 will be?
Yeah, I don't have a calendar date set, that I've circled. It has to be by this time. I don't want to, if it's you see it, you do it. And but certainly at the line of scrimmage on both sides, we all owe it to ourselves to take that process all the way through. And fortunately for us, we've planned ahead as we're going into practices. We have some other scrimmages against other teams. So we'll have some opportunities that will be really beneficial for the big guys. And we'll take them all.
And then can you talk about quarterback Sam Hartman, kind of what has stood out?
That, the joint practices, that bump is more important than the preseason games. That bump is more important than the preseason games. Because this is where, again, making sure that the 90th guy is not better than the 50th guy. Right? So when I take on in the preseason game, Tyreek might not even play in the preseason game. He might not even play. So how am I to take this corner that is looking good in practice? There are a lot of practice players. We've seen a ton of practice players. I mean, we have Mo Hurst 1.0, Mo Hurst 2.0, Mo Hurst 3.0, and I hope it's not Mo Hurst 4.0. We have practice players. But I want to make sure that this guy can play against the best in the world. So I'm going to put you on Tyreek Hill, and the only way I can see you two is doing this bump. That's the only way, because the preseason game, Tyreek Hill might not play, and if he do play, about time that corner gets on the field, he's going to be off the field. So when you talk about this bump and these joint practices, they're very important, especially for the O-line, because here is where the O-line can get nasty. You're not going to get too nasty going against your own teammates, but here you can get nasty. They got the one-on-ones, they got the two-on-ones, they got the three-on-twos, they got all that good stuff. So you can see their heart. Where are you? Where are you? And that's going to be important.
From him to you so far?
Yes, and I thought Sam, we had just a good visit with this morning about the things that he's going to work on, heading into it. So some of our post-practice stuff has been devoted to the youngest players who may not have got a lot of reps early on. And so for a guy like Sam to know that these reps are coming, I'm going to be ready for those, and he's absolutely ready to deliver on that. So it's been an excellent addition. It was great to hear from a coaching standpoint how some of the veterans have mentored him, not just in the quarterback room, but he wasn't expecting that, and so had heard other stories where it's not as, easy for a rookie to connect. And so for guys just to say, come on, let me show you and how to do that, knowing what they would have given almost anything to have somebody do that to them. I love the humility of some of those guys who are the older ones, say, these are my younger brothers, not.
I think we have 4 quarterbacks throughout the whole summer, of course. I think it's Sam Hartman and Mariota and Jayden Daniels on the 53. But I also think if there's no market that Jeff is on the practice squad, if they're able to. I know he's a veteran, been in the league a while. And I know they changed the rules up. Maybe Deron, is he eligible for the practice squad? I mean, I think he is. I mean, shoot, Adrian Peterson had went to go play for one of them teams, and they put him on the practice squad. So I wouldn't be surprised to see all 4 of these guys throughout the whole year. But of course, if everything is good, stays the same, I think Hartman definitely makes the 53.
Pledges, and we're here to make them better.
Coach B-Rob
And they paid a lot of money for him.
That there's definitely a competition there, but it's a healthy competition. How much of that is your MO that let's not make it about trying to take somebody down, but to push each other up?
Yeah, and I think that's why you saw some reps also that you saw them both out there together. And, so it's pretty rare that you have guys with unique stuff and unique talents that are not cookie cutter, same as.
B-Rob and
so
Eckler out there together?
I think as an offensive play caller and as a head coach, like more
like
things
that.
can open up to you because of that. But these are elite.
I mean, we wanted some of that last year, but
man, are we fortunate
the
to have
current
both?
offensive coordinator for UCLA decided not to.
Off. Yeah, I'm not going to be off. I'm in football mode. You'll take a little time off. How much can you stay away from the game, or will you?
Yeah, I think you have to some. For the players, it does work out a little bit different. For the calendars, it's harder for the rookie player because their off season wasn't typical. So their first calendar as a rookie, it's hard.
What's up, D? I was about to say, what is RTTR?
Because the times that we're together, they are intense.
Yeah,
and so
most definitely
clear that space and then go back to it. So knowing that in these 40 days or thereabouts, there's certain work-ons, as we're going to call them. How do you put that plan together to make sure when you come back, those things that you said you were going to do to close the gap, you stood in that gap and you filled it. And so each of them having a specific plan is important for that. It's important for the coaches too, to recharge the battery and make sure as we're coming to camp, we're really ready to give these players our best. And that's what it's all about.
Dan, we talked so much about the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, have any of these guys surprised you, really made an impression? Maybe they're able to do more than you were expecting?
I think just seeing this collective rise as the whole group, you've heard me talk about ball skills a lot, and they've really put, that type of work in to find that. And thinking like an example of that was Quan yesterday to make a fantastic play. Those don't just happen. So you have to put the work in, to create takeaways, also the catching in those moments. So that alone, I've been impressed by from where I saw us at the early part of the offseason program to where we're at now. I feel some identity coming along with the group, and Joe's done a really fantastic job, him along with the assistants, of helping support that identity. We're gonna have a pretty deep crew, and Adam and I are gonna have some really tough decisions from rosters months from now based on the work that the guys are putting in.
You've always kind of used versatile players in different spots. Has anybody emerged where you look like, all right, that guy can be a linebacker, he can also be a pass rusher, maybe he can help us on tight end coverage, all those sorts of things?
I would say some of what I was hoping to see, I did. And maybe that's with Chin. I would say it's been good to see Martin, some down in the box, but some as a middle field safety. Luvu, although I knew that was a part of his game, I'd say it was probably even stronger than I thought. So those would be some, that jump out to me. And then on the offensive side, we've worked, some receivers who could move into the backfield and vice versa. So yeah, it's an ongoing process, but sometimes you just try it, take a look, and not. Same thing with the kick return.
What have these last couple of months been like for you? You've been back in the head coach seat. Is this job is what you expected, and what fires you up? Because, we watch you and you're engaged, you're with the drills. It seems like, you're just so happy to be back in a sense.
Yeah, I would say, one, I love having this chance with this group. And I think early on, when Josh and Adam, the decision to bring me here, what I was also looking for from them, and support and partnership, that went all the way through the coaching staff. So I got a chance to bond with the coaches prior to bonding with the players. And so it made me happy that one of our Bill Walsh fellows had said, man, you would have thought you guys would have been together
cool,
for some
right?
years, not for some months. And so that doesn't happen, just on accident. So I would say, man, I love the coaching staff and getting to coach and be involved. And so that's probably been the first part. And then the second part over maybe the month, I would say I've 2 weeks.
I just want to tell y'all this real quick. This is really cool. My daughter got me this. I'm super excited. My wife about to go get some Carolina kitchen. So let's finish this up.
3 weeks, a month, like I felt this tide start to roll with some momentum about the improvement. And I felt like that's why it might be the end of minicamp, man. Like I feel like our foundation is starting. And so like we're about to go for it in a very big way. And it's cool to see the shift take place.
So the players go away for 6 weeks, rest, recharge.
Man, you guys are getting the vacation longer. I heard 6 weeks.
I wish 6 months, right?
Yeah.
6 weeks is crazy.
To the guys as they break camp and kind of go to their respective destinations.
Yeah, I think first off, protecting the team. Like they're away from this environment where we're together just as often as we could be. So there'll be some times on their own in different places.
Yeah,
and so
Kayla.
We've all, read or heard stories in an off season that, trouble can be found. And so I just wanted to remember, like, we have one big rule, protecting the team, and that applies to 24/7, whether you're here or elsewhere. So that was number one. And then doing your part to make sure that when you do come back, you can be counted on. And so that was probably the big message. And that's why I thought it was so important with Ken of his time to say, like, man, protect this time. Like, you're really putting it in, and other people want what you have. Like, keep going for it.
I want to go back to Quan. The catch, you mentioned just his performance in this mini camp. How much did you know about him coming out of Illinois?
Quite a bit. Yeah, quite a bit, because we worked at him, at him and some of his teammates from Illinois hard in the process. I thought he was just a really good tackler. And so at safety, there's probably even more communication that takes place from last year. He was featured a lot playing nickel. And so for a guy that can do both of those, that's a really big push. But man, I'm really excited about what he is, what he can be. And I just feel like he's one of those people. I'm feeling this momentum take place for him to ride this big wave in, because he's just gaining confidence in this new system. And that's really important to do that this time of year. So then the month of training camp, that he's really ready to apply it.
And with the kickoff role, Larry Izzo was saying how much he's been thinking about it, obsessed with it. I know there's still a lot of experimentation, but do you guys feel like you have a firm grasp of it and what you want to do there?
I'd say much stronger than, months ago when it was first introduced. Landing zones, touchbacks, what types of kicks, what types of returns. So the preseason will be big too. We have a couple of practice.
So we talked to Logan about that, and he's extremely excited about the kickoff. I am getting extremely excited about it too, because the different elements that are involved now. You even hear Tucker up there in Baltimore say he put on like an extra 10, 15 pounds because of the contact that he's expecting to get. You see, we got Brian Robinson back there. We got Eckler. You got Forbes. You got Quant. Like, you got all these different people back there, all for different things, right? So now you got Cliff, you got Dan, you got Brian, you got all these guys coming together doing special teams period to come up with some like some type of scheme, some type of something, because now it's an element of actual plays, right? It's like a element of running some sort of a play. It's not really just catching and going wave right, wave left, or wave middle. It's like blocking. It's some pulling. Like it's going to be so different. It's going to be so exciting with this kickoff rule. And I really think teams is going to take I didn't think they would at first, but I really think teams is going to take advantage of it. So you even heard one team, I forgot who it was, getting one of their secondary players to learn how to kick the ball off because of the fact that the kicker may be targeted. This kickoff rule is going to be exciting. I can't wait for the preseason because we're really going to see a lot of experimenting.
Practices. So we'll get not only in the preseason games, but some practices. And what we've done here over the last couple of days, we just split the team into two groups. You were kickoff one day, the next day you were kickoff return, and just tested different ways and different things. So it was also nice to have the officials here, because where do they stand? How do they officiate it? So two-part, us to get reps, but I also wanted to provide an opportunity for the officials who are here. This is their first take, and you don't want anything first to be in a game. All right, you guys have a great summer, and we'll see you when you get back. Yeah, you guys are a hell of a deal. I'm going to come back to you guys.
That's a long time, man. But that's it. We'll probably try to do a wrap up of OTAs. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Sundays, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even Monday. We'll see. Tomorrow we have AA Anthony Armstrong is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about some facilities, his time with the team, what he thinks about it now. Logan was on today, so if you're just joining today, make sure you go back. You just joined this stream. Make sure you go back to check out Logan. We talked about a few things: Brandon Coleman, Defoe, the offense, Cliff Whip. Talked about a few things, man. Go back and check it out. Commanders log is today at 7 p.m. They finally dropped one. I'm looking forward to be exciting. I'm not going to watch it. And I know you all going to be posting to talk about it. I'm going to try to ignore it as much as I possibly can, because we're going to react to it tomorrow. So I'm not going to watch it until I actually react to it tomorrow. I don't want to react to it tonight because people ain't going to want to keep seeing it stop and me talk, blah, blah, blah. So make sure you watch it tonight, and to be with us tomorrow, 5 o'clock, and we're going to react to it. But that's it, man. That's OTAs. The team is off for 6 weeks. We might hear them going here and going there. A lot of them is going back to, their families, especially the rookies. Jayden talked about yesterday he's going to California. We probably see, some videos of those guys linking up somewhere at some point. So that's going to be some content. We're going to talk about some of our rookies and kind of go a little more in depth about what they could bring to the team. We're going to talk about the players that we signed, that we brought on. We got a heck of a turnover on this roster, so we're going to talk about what they did for their teams last year, what they can do here. We're going to look at the staff. We're going to look at the depth chart. We're going to go to the depth chart. We're going to set our own depth chart and kind of, take it week by week to see if we can narrow down to that 53, see if ours can match up with the teams. We're going to look at some highlights, some old players, some old highlights. I'm doing some more reactions to some things, which is going to be fun. So yeah, man, sticking to me. The store, I saw you the pillow. I don't know if you all can look up there. The Raise Hell JD 5 o'clock. You saw the pillow. Some other things, Love Brands website dropping over the weekend. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But I don't know. I don't think so, Deron. Like, I don't think they're forcing them to communicate. I mean, they may. Remember when we went to OTAs last year in training camp, all you really heard was the current OC at UCLA. That's all you really kind of heard. But when we talk to people that's been there and we see reports and we interviewing these people, it's the players. Like, the players are communicating. The players are talking. That's big. That's huge, man. That's really big. That's really huge for sure. Again, appreciate y'all for joining. Appreciate your time, for you to use it with me. I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.